Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to do an album share. This is travel scrapbook number 40 on my website, meandmycricut.com. It is a trip to Colonial, Williamsburg. We took a 2-week road trip and went to Washington, D.C., Alexandria, Mount Vernon, and Williamsburg, and it was a wonderful trip. So I'm splitting this into two because this album is like 40 pages. It would take forever to go through it all. So this is part one, the first half of the album. I'm going to post my website below, and you can go there if you like any of these pages. You can get the Design Space links for all of my pages, actually. They all have them. So you can copy the pages if you like. All right, so let's begin. I did on the first page, this is the entrance going in there into the Colonial Williamsburg. So I did a title so that I'd know where I was at the beginning of the album. Then I decided, because of these are posters that were there, to do the tartan paper, because they were a marching band. And anyway, the fifes and drums. So I found coordinating tartans. And then this was sculptures that were in the entranceway to Colonial Williamsburg. So I found this wonderful nutcracker image. He's a drummer with a drum and some drumsticks, so that was perfect. So that's the start of the album. Page 1. This also was in the entrance. This is, they had a wagon, or a cart, a wagon that was pulled by horses, and they had mannequins with these clothing costumes from the period. And this man was talking about these costumes here and how simple the clothes were. It was not a good thing to be flashy and ostentatious at this time. So anyway, I went with the yellow and blue from these outfits, and found some pretty paper, added a title, and found some pilgrim type ladies in old-fashioned clothing. And that was my images. I just added a hat to the corner of that photo for him, and did some pretty frames and top and bottom borders to match with the lace border punch on the trim because it was fabric. And I did emboss this apron on both of them, actually, for to finish it off, because there's a big white area there. So when you walk into Williamsburg, it is horses and buggies everywhere. It's like stepping back in time. It's really wonderful. So I tried to recreate a street scene, and there were ladies in period costume. Everyone's in costume that works there, and they're all of a wealth of information. You can ask them about the place, and they know a lot. Good place to take kids. They'll learn a lot of history. Might be grateful for what they have. So these wagons, I found images in Design Space. I love them. So it was fun to do this. I don't get to do this kind of page very often. So I did some trees, because there's lots of trees in the background. Did some silhouettes of ladies, profiles, and a title. Easy page. Here's some more street scenes from Williamsburg. There are several streets because it's the whole town. Well, I don't know that the whole town is done, but several streets, residential and commercial streets. So it is, we were there for 2 days, and it took 2 days to see everything. So there's a tip if you go. This I found pretty paper because the pictures were quite pretty. And I just used that pretty paper for a background. I decided to create a banner for this page. And then I used the wagon and the horse and buggy on the banner, and I repeated them here and there. 2 big pretty frames, and I really like to frame my photos a lot. I like to have room to do that. Next, we have the Governor's Palace. This is a large building on the premises. It's huge. And that's it in the distance. And here's some of the detailed. And there's like a Juliet balcony there. So because of the brick orange, and it looks like blue roof, but I'm sure it's gray. It just looks very blue in the photos. I found this paper in blue and peachy color. And so I found coordinates to use here as well. So I just did a great big piece as almost like a frame for these frames. And I did a flourish type imaged frame because it looked kind of like this image on this paper. So I repeated those, and then I did a flourish diamond on there. Very simple. Governor's Palace title. This is inside the Governor's Palace. We took a tour in there. So right in the front entrance is all these ammo, guns, weaponry of all sorts. So this is right at the front entrance. So here's all these swords and rifles. So I found images in Design Space of swords, knives, guns, and just put it together. Did a great big box here with a rifle in the middle, and a great big one here between to hold these two, and a sword in the middle of that. This is further into the entrance, and the tour guide that we had is right here. So I just did a great big banner down this side, a border along there. Did a nice banner up here with Williamsburg in it. That's it. This was a crest, photos in the entrance of the building. Here we move into the dining room. So this is beautiful inside. So very strong colors they used to decorate. I noticed that in Mount Vernon as well. The same colors, green and blue, very vivid colors. Must have been the fashion trend in those days. So because this was the dining room, I did a nice big frame for this photo and did a dining room chair here and a title. And now this is just detail of the unbelievable workmanship and the way they built things in those days. Beautiful. So I just, because it was a room, I just used a piece of furniture and with a lamp on it, and then posted 2 portraits as if they were pictures on the wall above that table. So just, it's very different to be scrapbooking not people but buildings and rooms. So it's a nice change. All right, this is another room, and in this room it was very blue. So I found some pretty blue and gold because of all the gold leaf on these frames. Pretty paper, and then did borders, background wide border and a narrower one here. I then used a coordinate and did a pretty floral that kind of looked like this. So I did these I put them around the page here and there. Now this was supposed to be a panoramic photo of the room that I forgot to blow up. So it ended up printing as a 4x6, so I just put it on a tab. That was that. I used a big mat here and put all 3 photos on it, and then repeated the gold in a corner up there. That's all. Added some gems, and that's done. So this is a bedroom in the palace. Whoops. So my main inspiration for this page is the fabrics that are on in these beds and canopies. So I found this pretty Anna Griffin paper that reminded me of the prints. And then I did scallops from Kiwi Lane, the large and the medium ones at the top. Put a title and did a dressing armoire type image here. Tucked some photos behind, and that's that page. Now this is in the kitchens of the governor's palace. They had a display. She cooked these pies and pastries, and they had some recipes. So I did a food theme, put a pie title, found every pie I could in Design Space, and did a corner here with some vegetables. I have some food type paper, so I cut it into borders for along here, different spices and herbs. So it turned out all right. It was fun to do that. Makes you hungry too. So this is the scullery, which is right off the kitchen, where they storage the pots and things that they will, serving dishes and things they need in the kitchen. So I did a border here and put bottles and baskets of food and containers of all sorts. I put a shelf up here with pots and teapots and that sort of thing. All kitchen related items. And then I hung a big ladle on top of this photo. I did a picture that you might find in a kitchen with a cat on a shelf. Anyway, it was fun. Very, very much fun to play around with these ideas. Now this is in the cellars of the palace. When you go down there, there's some meat hanging. They show you how it's all hanging up from the ceiling in this room. And then, so I did meat images here and a meat title. I did this wide border across both pages, and then I did a banner in a coordinating print here. I used that coordinating print to do a block of pattern behind, and then the background paper was a stripe, so I turned the stripe the other way to do a border at the top, and I repeated that border down here, adding more to it to make it, give it a little more layers and more detail. Then I found these images of pots, because there was all kinds of clay in here, and so I had fun with those. I just used a marker to decorate them, and that was it. Good. The next page is more in the cellars. This is the wine cellar. I think there was beer and wine in here. So I found this frame with a wine glass for my title, and so I repeated it over here and just tucked the photo into it. I did wine barrels and a little grouping, a cluster here with barrels and wine bottles and glasses and just some wood. I did another little grouping here and a grouping here of ornamentation. So I did a big pretty frame on this as well. And these I just matted the photos with a large mat so that it would show some pretty paper. I repeated this paper, the stripe, in a circle over here. That's that. Now I decided, since this was the olden days, that I hadn't done a Pilgrim theme. So I decided to do a Pilgrim theme. And when I was done, I thought this would be a good Thanksgiving page too. So I used some blocks of three different papers here, just blocks, and set them. And then here I used them as a border. I cut them in rectangles and used them to create a wide border. Then I did 3 circles on top, and then I lifted the images on top. I did wheat, acorns, and a pilgrim hat. And I did another circle here and added 2 other images, a turkey and acorns with leaves. I just love the horse and buggy here. Anyway, I created a corner with all these leaves. I embossed them and inked them. And then they were a perfect background for my title on there. And added enamel dots here and there to decorate the page. I love this page. Now we have a dress shop in town. So this is inspired by the fabric of this dress that was on a mannequin out front of this shop. So I found a fabric in a mini print like on the dress. It looked like an old-fashioned mini print to me. And then I found a larger coordinate. I thought they were beautiful together, so I used Kiwi Lane borders for across here and up and down on this page. This is just a border punch. I put an image of a young girl, and then I used dress form images and created a cluster here with the title and flowers, and here's more flowers and another dress form, some leaves, a dress on a hanger because it was a dress shop, and then this is another cluster right here with flowers. I really like how this turned out. Very pretty. Busy but pretty. Now this is they put a play on for us, and this was out on the street. There was this stage, so that gave me a theme for the page. It's like the drapes I lifted and put the photo in behind it. These are enamel dots I put on here. So I had a hard time finding paper with an American theme, and I think it's called Vintage Nation. I found this pad at Hobby Lobby. Excuse me. So it's been great because I had a very hard time finding paper for this trip. So I did a wide border across the top using a star border punch top and bottom. And then I did some banners with just stars. It was very hard to find Americana stickers and things. I ended up getting a lot of stars. So I turned the banners sideways for here and used the comedy and tragedy masks for this because it was a play. These are all the characters in the play. It was cute. So that's the end of the first half of the album. You can see part 2, and that way you'll see the whole trip. Thanks for watching.